Hello everyone! The CES 2016 Innovation Award interviews continue today. Yes, we meet again after last year and you've brought an even bigger topic. This is CEO Lee Siwan from LBS Tech. Hello. Hello CEO. Thank you. Congratulations not just on the Innovation Award, but on the Best Innovation Award.
A few words on receiving this award. First of all, the concepts and ideas that we've held and the technologies that we possess are being recognized globally. And the understanding related to this has now reached a level where the market can truly comprehend it. There's also this kind of joy. And when we speak of a Technology Innovation Award, it's not merely about technical excellence, but also about its practical application and the significant ripple effect it would have if widely adopted. That's generally the feeling I received. So for me, this Innovation Award carries precisely that kind of significance. Oh, I understand.
I guess then, LBS Tech is now quite widely recognized by everyone within this industry.
But please give us a brief introduction. Our company originally started with spatial information, yes, spatial information, or simply put, pedestrian navigation data. Our initial focus was on those with mobility challenges, such as the visually impaired and wheelchair users who most needed this pedestrian information. Then, over several years, as technologies for collecting pedestrian paths increased and technologies for classifying and processing them also grew, this led to various industries that increasingly need pedestrian paths. For example, collaborating on projects with delivery robots. As I was doing various projects within pedestrian areas, I naturally started working on projects that integrate with cars, and that's how it came to be. So, if I were to briefly define LBS Tech, we are a company that specializes in spatial information, particularly pedestrian data, you could say. So you must be getting a lot of calls from various places to collaborate on projects, right? Currently, among the companies we're collaborating with, there are quite a few delivery robot companies as well. And there are many glass companies, like those producing smart glass. Then there are also numerous kiosk companies. This is because they all require a spatial information base. So recently, we've been working with fintech to help people with disabilities move around, and at the end of their route, they need to use a service. We also have an application that allows both movement and usage simultaneously. So in conclusion, services that can be used are also necessary, and that's correct. So you've integrated that. Right. We view navigation as a means. We don't typically spend money on means. We usually spend money on the objective, don't we? Because means are almost always provided as a service. We don't spend money on navigation, right? The reason we use navigation is often to go somewhere and make a reservation. Right. Or make a purchase, so an objective comes up. So to connect with that objective, a good tool is needed. So we were mainly working on projects where people with disabilities could use our pedestrian navigation system. Once they place an order and pay, it guides them directly to the spot. Upon reaching the entrance, it describes its appearance, and if it's an automatic door, it even opens it automatically. Plus, if there are traffic lights along the way, it also activates them. Then it's a completely smart city and 100% necessary technology. That's right. The reason smart cities are gaining attention is that when you say smart city, it sounds like a very distant concept, doesn't it? Especially for people with disabilities, even the current cities are difficult to access. So I'm not sure about smart cities. It's often said that our goal in the smart city was to first enhance the mobility and accessibility rights of people with disabilities. If we keep working on accessibility, it's called a barrier-free city. We aim to create cities that people with disabilities can easily access and utilize. That's what we ended up defining as a smart city. It's quite challenging, isn't it, to allow people with disabilities to easily move and access existing infrastructure.
Since the infrastructure is already established, it would be great if we could apply this to newly developed cities. Right, we don't just do this for new cities, we also do it for older downtown areas.
So, in the case of old downtowns, new cities are built with those standards from the start. But old cities didn't have such standards, did they? As a result, we analyzed the characteristics of pedestrian paths, determining, this path is dangerous, this path is safe.
You can consider it as providing information in that way. So if it's a somewhat large-scale project, we would probably receive many inquiries regarding smart city projects, but we have already completed quite a number of projects.
Specifically for the Busan Eco Delta City project, we surveyed pedestrian paths and provided the standards. So now, the pedestrian path information for the Eco Delta City Smart City area is based on our work, you will see. We also participated in the Sejong Smart City project, so the delivery robot companies in that area also utilize our database. And the Ministry of Interior and Safety, they possess what's called an address system, but they simply took the existing landlot number address, the actual landlot number, and converted it into a road name address, didn't they? You brought that up last time, didn't you? That's correct. We're standardizing and unifying that as well. What's a bit more encouraging this year is that we're working on standardizing the information for pedestrian paths, making it seamless, starting from cars all the way to the actual entrance as an ISO international standard. You can understand that we're even working on things like that.
for the Best Innovation Award. What product or technology did we receive it for?
Currently, I received the Best Innovation Award in the tourism sector. When we typically speak of MaaS, we are referring to mobility services. However, for us, even within MaaS, we have our bridge service because for people with disabilities, MaaS can often present some difficulties. So you can view this as MaaS, specifically designed for the convenience of individuals with disabilities. To put it simply, the bottom line is that autonomous driving will soon become almost perfectly widespread, right? Just a few days ago, Tesla already launched its services here in our country, and even now there are still various issues, aren't there? But now, autonomous driving is no longer a special technology, it's becoming a common one. So the next step after autonomous driving is this. Yes, we'll need to get out of the car, and that disembarking point should be convenient for people with disabilities. So, depending on the type of disability, it will be divided into points convenient for the visually impaired to alight, points convenient for wheelchair users, and points convenient for the general public. We call this design a MaaS-Bridge and alternatively a mobility point, or MP.
Is it an existing name or did you create it?
MP is something that I created, and MaaS-Bridge is a term we also coined.
Right? That's what I think.
So you received the highest award for that MaaS-Bridge, is that right? And I see the field is travel and tourism. Was this a category that already existed?
Yes,
the
it was
category
already
itself?
there.
Oh, it was a field, I see. Oh, so you received the top award in this specific field?
Exactly. But I think it will turn out this way. The conclusion is that in this area too, the rights of people with disabilities to be active are expanding, right? Well, ultimately, these people will generally enjoy not only urban life, but also leisure and travel. And how their journeys begin and where they end, all these aspects must be designed seamlessly, without any interruptions. In that regard, MaaS-Bridge becomes absolutely essential.
But for these things to become widespread, it seems to be directly linked to decision makers, local governments, or the public's level, right? Yeah.
You just mentioned that you've recently returned from the UK, and I heard that, in a way, you're achieving significant results with a project that's closely related to MaaS-Bridge over there in the UK. Could you perhaps share a bit about that story?
In the UK, and not just the UK, but all of Europe these days, they're implementing something called Vision Zero. What that means is they aim to bring the traffic accident rate, especially on pedestrian paths, down to zero. And that is their overall policy. What we offer is the collection and guidance of pedestrian routes, you see. Therefore, we provide information about what can be found along these routes. For instance, things that enable wheelchair users or the visually impaired to navigate. Depending on the specific type of disability, users might wear smart glasses or simply rely on their mobile phones. And providing this kind of assistance is our fundamental project. That's essentially how you can view our work.
Now, there are many different ways.
That's correct. Among these, we're also conducting a project integrating smart glasses, which we call GLASS. For current expansion, we're also considering this area. The UK, our country, next year, that ITS Gangneung.
ITS, oh yes, I think I understand now.
They're planning to hold it in Gangneung, 2026 is Gangneung, and 2027 is Birmingham, UK. In Birmingham, we are currently undertaking this project, which will be fully expanded by 2027. The aim is to ensure that everyone coming from ITS can use our services for their transportation and various other needs. That's how you can understand it, really? Yes. Primarily, we generated sales this year. We did this by receiving funding from the government and then distributing both the method for collecting spatial information and an application that provides spatial information. This allowed us to create revenue.
You're heading to CES this time, as you do every year. Or how are you preparing for it? And do you have any specific business targets you're planning to meet this time to build up new connections or partnerships?
MaaS-Bridge, you see, mostly integrates with autonomous vehicles. As a result, we currently have many autonomous driving companies in the United States, yes. And we are aiming to proceed with projects with these companies.
Oh, well then, something like Tesla, for example.
We're currently trying to contact companies like Tesla and Waymo. From our perspective, we're customizing based on disability and mobility types. Not just regular cars, but demand-based shuttle buses are also possible. Because everything is now shifting towards autonomous driving. For instance, the UK is currently in discussions with a shuttle bus company called Omeo. However, even there, due to various autonomous driving policies, countries like the UK and Europe aren't as quick to fully open up their regulations as the United States. So for various reasons, there's a lot of discussion now about the supervised driving, how should I put it? The conclusion is that we co-designed the specific points they provide us with. Yes, to put it simply, you can think of it in this manner. Most companies I've partnered with or signed MOUs with, don't worry. If a customer wants to be dropped off at a specific spot or another, when you select a building, I generate drop-off points based on their disability type, showing exactly where they should be dropped off.
Where in that building is it located? Where along the roadside?
Right. If you're an ordinary person, the nearest entrance.
For wheelchair users, a space to alight and move by wheelchair. For the visually impaired, a space easy for them to navigate. That's how it's designed, you see.
So you possess all that data? Even if it's in the UK, the entire city of Birmingham's?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. I think you can consider collecting, refining, and having that data as technology.
How do you go about collecting them? I'm curious.
In the case of Korea, as I mentioned previously, we are integrating this with public work programs, so it's being done by senior citizens. In the UK, however, there are a great many students. These students, acting somewhat as volunteers, take photographs, and through that process, they essentially help create the patterns, you see.
Then, is all Birmingham's data already collected?
In Birmingham, we have a few areas we're working on, like Moore Street or the city center.
Let's focus on that now.
Yes, we've already done that. So later, when we implement ITS, all the data will be. That's correct. For the few pilot service areas, we're not just talking about Birmingham City, but also the entire West Midlands County. To put it simply, just like we have Seongnam City and Gyeonggi Province in Korea, Birmingham is actually the test area, and we signed a contract with the West Midlands County itself.
So in the state, in Birmingham, we should verify and actually test?
Yes, you are absolutely correct.
What is LBS Tech's long-term vision? I'm curious about both its business strategy and the values it upholds.
My conclusion, my thought was that the core lies in possessing the most crucial technology for mobility and movement. Ultimately, our major companies are making significant strides in car and autonomous driving technology within a year, right? They're doing so, but ultimately they can't modify the pedestrian paths. Pedestrian paths are so difficult to create, and securing contracts for them is also tough. That's why the government often avoids this. But if the private sector develops methods and convenient tools for collecting data, I believe that's where the ultimate value lies. Our vision is to be the company that optimizes the most crucial pedestrian paths in spatial information. Anyway, if you see it as a goal and a bigger vision, the conclusion is about mobility rights, especially since my younger sibling, yes, has a visual impairment. And regarding mobility rights, like equal access, because this is a very basic right, if we expand these things, I think it would add significant meaning to the overall project.
Later, you should really build a smart city. And let's call it LBS Tech City, where once you step inside, absolutely everything is handled as a one-stop solution.
That's right, that's right. A visually impaired person, as we commonly say, being able to walk without a cane. A wheelchair user, being able to move around without any worries. Right now, people in wheelchairs often say this. For example, we had this interview today. If I were in a wheelchair, they'd ask, what delicious thing would you like to eat today? But most people don't ask that. Instead, they ask,
the choice is located there.
And then decide to go. So our role is to create something where you don't have to make those basic choices.
When you go to places like restaurants and search for them on Naver, there's a logo showing if parking is available, right? But is there an indication that disabled people can access it?
Still, there's no standard for that either. Yes, and the ability to go there is also very ambiguous because depending on the type of disability experience, though experience might not be the right word, those who have used wheelchairs for a long time can go around even if it's difficult. But if you haven't used one for long, you might fall while going up. So it's hard for us to set a standard of can go or cannot go. What we do is simply show you the facts. There are stairs. If there are stairs, we tell you how many steps there are. If there's an uphill, it tells you the slopes degree
beforehand
and
when
so
you set
on.
the destination?
That's right. You just scan it and it tells you that. And it helps you figure out if it's accessible. The bottom line is, our goal is to provide door-to-door service, from this door all the way to that door.
So, in our country, are people with disabilities actually making use of this MaaS-Bridge?
In Korea, it's less about MaaS-Bridge and more about pedestrian navigation. They're using wheelchair-specific navigation. In Seoul, by the end of this year,
we'll have collected over 98% of pedestrian road data.
So for the Seoul area.
Don't companies like Naver reach out to you and Kakao as well?
They'll be contacting
They certainly
me.
do,
I'm currently
don't
working
they?
on it.
Oh, they are. Yes, they're doing some groundwork behind the scenes. Well, having received the top award this year, you've probably concluded our annual performance was truly excellent. So could you just tell us your simple plan for next year?
As I was saying earlier about next year, since Tesla is the largest self-driving company we have in the US.
All right. After going to CES and meeting, please contact Tesla.
We're aiming to do a POC with companies like these.
Through that, we want to verify next year that pedestrian interaction was truly essential for the ultimate stage of autonomous driving. If it's verified, then after that, I think everything will just fall into place without much effort. So I think that next year will be another very important year for me.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to it.
CES 2026 Best Innovation Award winner.
LBS Tech MaaS-Bridge, let's go. You can absolutely do it.